Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Solo, a Star Wars story, so if you want to hear my review for that, stick around, but be warned, there are spoilers ahead. Okay, so let's get right down to it. Overall, I did enjoy it. Overall, I have respect for what they were able to do given the circumstances of losing the original two directors and then having to take on Ron Howard and doing all these reshoots, and it was a lot, and I completely understand that. So given that, I thought it was a good film. But there were also many aspects of it that felt very different from everything Star Wars has done before, and some in a good way, some in not a good way. And then there was also just a lot of unnecessary stuff and over complex stuff. So we're just gonna dive right into that. And I want to start off by saying that I was wrong about Alden Ehrenreich. I was completely wrong. He did an amazing job as Han Solo. I was able, which I was very scared, if you watch my trailer reactions, that I would not be able to escape into the movie and view him as Han Solo and view who I know as Daenerys Targaryen, Emilia Clarke, as qi'ra, her character. Luckily, I was able to escape into the film, which I was afraid I would not be able to do. If anything, I had the most trouble doing that with Woody Harrelson. So that was interesting. But as I said, I actually thought Donald Glover would be really good, and he was. I wish his role was a little bit bigger. Again, this is a spoiler review, so those of you who've seen the movie know that his part was interesting and limited, and I honestly want an entire Lando movie because they did really interesting things with his character, and I really want to know how he gets from point A to where we see him in Empire Strikes Back. But until then, I'm just going to go back to Alden Ehrenreich, who I thought did an amazing job in this movie. He had very subtle mannerisms with his face, and honestly, he's a very good actor, and I'm happy I saw him in this movie because I liked him a lot more than I did when I saw him in a movie that came out back in 2013 or so. Yeah, I think he did a very good job as Han Solo. He kind of became Harrison Ford at a lot of times for me. Not that he had to. He didn't have to at all. He just kind of had to feel like the character, and he did, so that's good. As far as the other characters, I thought there was some great material for the characters, just as there was for Rogue One, but a lot of them were just so unnecessary. And if you've seen the film, you will know what I'm talking about. The deaths were predictable. I knew who was gonna die, and if they weren't gonna die, I knew who wasn't gonna end the film on the same side as Han Solo, because obviously they're not in the original trilogy. So it was kind of obvious, and a lot of the deaths felt forced. I was very happy to see Jon Favreau in there, but he died very early on, which was kind of just a stupid death in my opinion. I didn't get to form an emotional bond to the character, and I was kind of starting to, but then they killed him, and that's the end of that, and that's all I'm ever going to see of the character, so that was pretty sad. The same with the wife of Woody Harrelson's character. I think it could have been more natural, or they could have just not included those characters at all. It was frustrating to me that they tried to introduce the characters and flesh them out, and then they just killed them off. And it wasn't in a very well done way, in my opinion, but again, they did the best they could with the time they had, but that's just one nitpick that I had. Also, in terms of people I was proud to see, but still died, Paul Bettany, he did really well here. I'm very proud of him because he doesn't get many jobs. He played Vision in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As many of you might know, I don't know what this crowd here is. I know a lot of my subscribers are Marvel fans, but I really was happy to see him here, and I think he's an amazing actor. It was interesting what they did with his face, with the veins, how he got darker and his eyes got bloodshot when he was angry. That was a little scary, but very interesting. And I thought he was a very unique character, and it was sad to see him die, but again, it was predictable that he was gonna die. And it was predictable that qi'ra was going to do it. Maybe I've just seen so many movies and know so much about storytelling from studying it in college and studying it throughout my life that these things are predictable to me. I want you guys to let me know in the comments below if they were predictable to you too. everything that Woody Harrelson said throughout, I'm just going to keep calling him Woody Harrelson. Everything that he said, because that's what was going through my head when I was watching the movie, is Woody Harrelson, Woody Harrelson, Woody Harrelson. I don't even remember his character's name because all I was thinking was Woody Harrelson the whole time. Which is why I'm a bigger fan of casting new talent for movies like Star Wars and stuff, because you can't really escape into the character if you've seen them in 1,000 other things. Anyway, end of that rant. All that he was saying, a lot of his lines foreshadowed things that happened later in the movie, and I could just tell by the way they were written and the way they were presented that they were going to be important later on. It wasn't subtle enough. And again, I really only have the screenplay to fault for a lot of the issues in this movie in terms of the deaths not feeling organic and the characters being rushed or too confusing. The plot in general was too confusing. It was, I mean, I could follow it, but it was, even me, as a very avid watcher, and I'm looking at every little thing on the screen and saying that could be very important because I know how to structure a shot and I know where things should be that are important and where they are in view and if they're in light or if they're in darkness and all of that, and I know how to dissect all of this. So I'm very keen when I'm watching it, and I really want to know if you guys felt the same way, but at least the person my friend Natalie, who I went with, we both agreed that it was a little bit too complex of a plot. There was a lot of reversal and backstabbing and all this. It was just flipping all over the place too much with an already complicated story, complicated in the fact that we have all these new characters. You're trying to introduce all of these new characters, then they're going to die, and you're going to have to introduce even more new characters with new sets of agendas and new personalities, and on top of that, you're trying to get the audience to buy that this is Han Solo, and you have to explain his relationship with qi'ra, and qi'ra's relationship with Paul Bettany's character, and then Paul Bettany's character with Woody Harrelson's character, and their relationship with all the other people and where all these trading things are going for, and if they're working for the Empire, if they're not working for the Empire, and then they have all of that, and then moving on from all of that, you don't know if Han Solo and qi'ra are really a thing or not because Han Solo ends up with Princess Leia, and then you're thinking about Princess Leia the whole time because you're thinking, is this lessening Princess Leia because he is already he's already in love with the brunette, a white brunette? They had all of that, and then you have to work in Lando, and then you're worried about Lando. Is Lando the same Lando that I know and love from Empire Strikes Back? And if he's not, then what's going on? And then you're trying to figure out how does all of this fit into A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and then all of the new stuff too. And you're trying to see these things connect while you're also trying to figure out, okay, who do I trust here? And you very feel ingrained in the chaos that the characters are supposed to feel. And that's either a really good thing or a really bad thing. I guess it's preference for me. Normally I like that kind of, to an extent I like it. In this movie it felt like a little bit too much. Again, I did enjoy it though. It was a thrill ride, but there were too many agendas. There was L3's liberation of, I mean, it was very much a social message. It was, and normally I love to see that, but it kind of felt a little bit shoved in there, as well as Chewbacca saving the other Wookiees, which that could be a whole movie on its own. All of this could be like, it just felt like they were trying to do too much. It was very complex, and they had so many problems with this movie that they should have just kept it simple and enjoyable, just like all the other Star Wars movies are. I personally think it might have been too much for Star Wars. They definitely are taking a different route with The Last Jedi and now Solo. It's been very different. I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm sure many of you are as well. And I like the change. I support it. It's just, there are some aspects that you don't want to throw away. And having a nice, simple hero's journey story, which was in there, it definitely was, there was a 3-act structure, but it was just buried under so much plot and agendas and all these different characters who died and then were replaced by other characters, and it was a lot. It was a lot to take in, and so that was just a little bit much. And the only other thing that I have to nitpick is, actually there's 2 more things. The first thing is that there's a little bit too much comedy, and I never, if you guys watch my videos, you know I never think there's too much comedy, because I'm not one to watch comedies, but I like when it's ingrained in the story, and I think it's kind of funny. I thought The Last Jedi comedy was funny. I thought Doctor Strange comedy was funny, which no one else agreed on. I thought Infinity War comedy was great. It was all nicely laid out for me. But in this movie, there were some moments where I thought, you really should probably not have made a joke right here, because I'm trying to feel intense. And normally it's really good to have a breathing point. You need them in your movies. But, and it's good to have comic relief as well, which is what the comedy is there for, obviously. But I was trying to get into it, and I was trying to feel this emotional attachment to characters that I didn't even know if I trusted. The only one I trusted was Han the entire time, because he was the protagonist. It was kind of exhausting, and I was trying to figure out which characters other than Chewbacca and Han that I trusted. And I was trying to get into the mood, and I was getting all hyped up because they were doing the Kessel Run. And I was just so into it, and then all of a sudden there's a joke. The drama gets diminished a little bit. So that was a little bit too much for me, but we're gonna move on. It's obviously different preference for everyone. And then the only other thing I have is the opening. I thought the opening, when they started following Han, that was all good. I'm talking about the blue, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away font. It's because they only do the scroll, the yellow scroll for the episode films, which was established in Rogue One. They tried to give backstory with the blue font, which was so unnecessary to me, and it felt so inorganic and so like someone who doesn't know Star Wars was trying to make a Star Wars film. And I love Ron Howard, and I don't want to penalize him for any of this, but also everything that they said in that blue font in the beginning wasn't really that important. It was kind of established throughout the movie, and I didn't need it. So it didn't help me grasp the story any more than the movie itself did. So I don't think it's necessary, and I actually really want them to delete it. But those are the only nitpicky things I had. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. There were incredible visuals. They get better every time. And a lot of excellent world building, which I love to see as Star Wars films progress. They always continue to add to the universe, which is amazing. And we finally got to see the Kessel Run. There were things, even though no one really expected or asked for this solo movie, we got a lot of things that we kind of low-key wanted to see the whole time. There was a lot of things in there that I absolutely loved. And I think that you guys will love them too. If you have not already seen this movie, I hope you have, because I literally just spoiled everything. And again, they didn't even say anything in the trailers, so watching this spoiler review is going to be a huge info dump on you, because they don't reveal anything in the trailers. I actually, right when the movie was starting and the blue words were describing Han's situation, and I was sitting there, and I had this epiphany that I had no idea what this movie was going to be about, because they didn't really say. It was all very vague in the ad campaign, and Ron Howard did touch on that. He touched on how they kept it all a secret, and they didn't make as big a deal out of it as Infinity War did, but they definitely made a big deal out of it. So that was an interesting route to take, and I actually thought it was kind of smart. But anyway, I'm glad that I didn't see like literally any of the film going into it, but it's still very interesting to take a step back and look at this movie, and I hope that you guys can all do so with me in the comments down below. I really want to have these conversations, because it's so interesting to talk about how such a beloved franchise that's been around for so long is taking these steps to maneuver itself in a slightly new direction for a new generation. It's very interesting, and I want to hear your opinions on it. What are your opinions on this movie? I hope this spoiler review helped. If any of you didn't mind all the spoilers and wanted to see it with that information going in. So, I mean, other than that, there were some good surprises that I want you guys to be in store for when you watch this movie. But again, this is the spoiler review, so let me just say, Darth Maul? What? What? Oh, there's so much that I would love to just have genuine conversations with you guys that I can't really talk that much about to my camera, but if you guys want to ask me any questions or anything in the comments down below, let me know. Just ask away. I would love to have conversations with you guys about this. I think it's really interesting and a really interesting talking point. So let's have these discussions. It's going to be great. And until then, I hope that you guys all enjoy this movie, and that if you don't want to see it after this review, or you just never wanted to see it in general and you just watch this review for the heck of it, then I hope you enjoy whatever movie you watch next, and hope you all have a great weekend. Memorial Day weekend. Yes, have a great Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if they celebrate that everywhere. I'm pretty sure it's just America, but have a good Memorial Day weekend if you are from the States. And if you haven't been able to tell, I'm on vacation right now. I'll see you guys later. I will also do a non-spoiler review, which I'll probably put out before this. But yeah, okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.